Hello again. I decided I should go ahead and actually run a benchmark, like a video-based benchmark for the GPU, so folks can see how well it performs. So I'm going to use Superposition here. A lot of people are familiar with this one. Um, it's very popular. I'm going to run it on the DirectX mode, and we're going to do it at 1080p medium. Because I think that is a better setting for this particular GPU. It is a very recent benchmark. It's only come out in the last few years. And so it's pretty heavy. It's meant to test some of the, it's meant to test things like a 2080 Ti. And so it's running this on medium is still pretty impressive for a card like this. And you'll be able to see how it's doing with the little overclock that I have on it right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and click run, and I'll let you go ahead and see this run through its paces, and I'll get in close so you can see the FPS count and also just the other data that it has there while it's running. Let it load there. And so you can see this version's been updated as recently as 2019. So there it goes, light comes on, eventually, and then I'll zoom in on it. There it goes. And you can kind of see how things are going up here. So right now it's running an average of 66 FPS, and it's just under 60 at the moment. It's really running just right around 60 FPS on medium, and you can kind of see at medium settings, textures and things still look pretty good. Again, this is a pretty old monitor, so it's not super duper awesome in the sense of quality of the visuals, but frame per second is frame per second at 1080p. This is still going to be adequate in showing what this thing is capable of. Temperature of the GPU is currently at 48 degrees. It's pretty cold in my garage right now. Oh, yeah, and you can see just up there that the graphics count up there it's running at 1534 megahertz. The clock speed, sorry. I was trying to think of the right thing. I don't know if you can hear any of the sound coming from the device, from the tower itself, which is right here, by the way. It's fairly quiet. It's under full load right now with an overclock. So it's doing pretty well, noise-wise. Certainly quieter than the one I have in my house. I'm running a Vega 56 in my house right now. It's a stock blower, and man, that thing is like, it is loud when it's under load. Right now the average says it's 62 FPS, max was at 81, and the 1% low was 50. Oh, there it goes. So there's the score. I'll get in close here so you can see the numbers. And as I said, it's pretty cold in my garage right now. I can see my breath just barely. So it is decently chilly in here. So when you're running this in like an ambient temperature of 70 degrees or whatever, it's going to be a little warmer than that. It's probably going to run around 65 C, something like that. I'll probably test it in my house, obviously, to just double check everything's good and stable at a normal temperature. But that's why I haven't gone more aggressive on overclocks and things like that in the current ambient environment that I'm in right now, because it just wouldn't be an accurate test of its capabilities, just because it's too cold in here to be sure. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. You know what? I guess I'll go ahead and run Cinebench while I'm at it so you can see it do it. I showed a score in a previous video. This score is going to be a little different, probably just because we had a couple other things loaded. When I did this last, it was like just after it booted up and I didn't have anything going on, and it had a score of 2823 right there. So this probably will be a little lower. I would be surprised if it is not. So I'll go ahead and run that now. I like using Cinebench R20 just because it keeps the CPU under load for a longer period of time compared to R15. R15 is getting a little old, and so it's just too easy on a CPU these days. And I think that this one's a little more accurate for like how somebody might have their CPU under load under normal usage, like representing a maximum sort of usage, you know, like in a real world scenario. Most of the time, most people aren't going to be doing tasks that put a heavy load on their CPU. Like for most folks, unless you're, I don't know, unless you're doing CPU intensive tasks, this sort of thing is really unnecessary. So this is, I don't know, this is really just a momentary worst case scenario type of test that just kind of shows how things would work out for a chip if it's under heavy load for an extended period of time. We'll see how we did here in just a second. Okay, so the new score is there, the lighter color, I believe, and actually it did slightly better. So it varies in performance. I'm sure it's just a slight bit colder in here the last time that I ran it, so that would account for that little bit of bump in performance. So temperature makes a big difference, and that's why I opted to put on this really nice big cooler rather than use a stock cooler. It's got this nice Cooler Master Evo, Hyper 212 Evo, and it just keeps it running cool, man, nice and cool. And so there it is right there, and there's everything running. And I think that the GPU, it is actually spinning still. And when it gets nice and cool, it does go into a non-fan spinning mode, like modern cards. So when it's not under load, it'll just sit there. I think maybe because I think I have like a custom fan curve on right now, I don't let it go down to 0. I just like having it always get air. I just like that. But yeah, I think the next thing I'm going to do is format this little hard drive in there. That's our extra storage. I haven't done that yet. I think it still has like stuff on it from something else, a previous machine or something like that. I think it was like the main drive on a different computer that I had laying around. So I'm going to wipe that so it can be a little extra storage. It's a 240, I believe maybe it's a 250 gigabyte hard drive, 7200 RPM Seagate, and it should be pretty good. So I'm going to do some work on that, and yeah, I think I'm going to get ready to put this thing up for sale pretty soon here. So yeah, I hope this helps, and thanks for watching.